Hello, I want to share my experience and knowledge about the cursor rules. What is the cursor rules is? When you go to the documentation of the cursor, you will find the rules tab, and here you can find that cursor supports three type of the rules. It is .cursor rules file, what is the legacy and deprecated, but still supported. It is a user rules, it is a global rules for your cursor environment, and it is the project rules. So to set up the project rules, you have to create hidden folder .cursor, and inside of this folder rules, and save your file with your rule. This file should have extension MDC, and you can use simple markdown language to write the rules itself. And what is the idea of rules? Rules, it's some kind of the system prompt what can be applied to your chat, and let's see how it can work. So to do that, go to the cursor settings, navigate to the rules and memories. We have a user rules, what is the global one, and we have a project rules. So let's specify rules, and as you see, automatically was created the rules. Let's do it one more time again, and I put some kind of test automation rule. It's created, and we see the drop down list, and it is very important to know. So the rule can be always applied, it can be applied intelligently, and this mode I can recommend you to use when you work in a project and you have a multiple rules for your cursor. For example, specific rule for writing front end, specific rule for writing back end. For example, let's make a case that you write front end into the TypeScript and back end on another language. So you have divide these rules due to the language what you use. And also you have maintained the infrastructure, for example, with Terraform or CDK for AWS and so on. So you have to specify the description like DevOps, comma, Terraform, comma, AWS CDK, comma, etc., etc., etc. And it will be applied automatically due to context of your prompt in the chat. So cursor will decide should apply this rule or no. Apply to specific file. Here you can specify the mask of the file or location of the file, what should be used when it is added to the chat, and you work with this kind of file. This rule will be applied, or it can be manually, and in this case you have to provide just rule and always apply it via the add. You can find rules and select your rules manually, and it will be applied. Okay, how to specify the good rules, because we are remembered that rules, it is some kind of the system prompt. So to do that, I recommend to go to the basic of prompting, check the prompting techniques what we have, and apply something from that. You can use this approach. You can include the file pattern, the different techniques what we have, but it's not always needed to deep dive into this kind of details. You can just logically understand what you want to have, and for example use Cloud Desktop to generate a cursor rule, and you have to just specify that generate a rule for cursor IDE I want to achieve, and describe what you want to achieve, and it will be generated. Let's put my example. It's some kind of simple example for test automation, that we have an act that you're expert in API test automation engineering, some information about generic or common object-oriented principles what should be applied to your code, and it's enough for demo. Okay, so we add this rule. We will add it manually, and it's enough for us. In your case, you can specify even the some kind of code template what you want to have, for example, for generation of model level, some kind of builder pattern, or error handling, logging, etc, etc, etc. So you can put the code examples. It can be pretty straightforward examples, or it can be more abstract examples, and let's check how it can be done. For example, this is some kind of abstract code with classes, so in the same time it can be applied and for Java and for TypeScript and for C#, maybe for C# no, but who knows. Okay, never mind. So it can be up to you. You can provide the comments with some recommendations, so you can really work on it and make your work more efficient. So it was the first part of the my video, and let's do the next part. It is documentation. Let's return to the Cursor website, go to the search. Let's type docs, using docs, and working with documentation. And currently the Cursor IDE provides you options to add to your agent information about two things. Docs, it is already indexed documentation, or web, when Cursor will go to the internet to find information about something. Let's see how we can apply the docs. It is mean that, for example, you're React developer, you work with React, and you want to add information about React. Or in my case, I'm test automation, and I want to add information about library Playwright, what I'm currently using for test automation. So to do that, I have to go to the cursor settings, and navigate to the rules and memories. To the index and docs, and open the add docs. So here you can provide the web link to the documentation. Meanwhile, from my practical experience, not all websites with documentation is good to be indexed. So in this case, try to find the GitHub repository of your libraries and find the documentation folder inside of the project into the GitHub, and provide to link to this folder with documentation. For my example, I will use direct link to the Playwright docs intro. I will press enter. I already indexed it, so I will name it Playwright 4 and confirm. So as you see, it's already indexed, and if I will press add button here, go to the docs, I can select Playwright 4. Yep, it's all. So in this case, my request will be will use rules and will use documentation. To do that, I can provide some task like create an API call, and both documentation and rules will be applied. Let's do it. I will, for example, generate code to test 200 status code for well, let's do it like c url -x get https www.google.com. So we see that Cursor start doing bunch of stuff. Check playwright documentation, start doing some code, and let's try to do that. So let's do everything from the cursor. As you can see, the playwright test tried to execute, but currently we don't see it. The file, it's look like the file was not created. So let's create a folder test. Okay, let's manually create the file, or let's do it. And we see that we have a TypeScript file, what should check our response, and let's execute our test, and we see the test was passed. Fine, it's not huge demo. Let's try to make it more complex. I have a Swagger or Open API for one of the public API. It is Swagger Pet Store. Here we have a create user endpoint, and let's try to generate a code to create user endpoint. So I want to use web open API spec, please write code to test create user point. Here is more complex, so we see that was applied searching in the web, the documentation of playwright. Let's one more time say that use my rule, apply rule to and let's check what we will have in the end of the result. So was created a file. Inside of the file we have a dividing on some classes. So it is a user service, API response, we have a test itself, some modification was added, and tests. And let's ask run test. Let's run the test. And yep, test was created and so on. So some kind of basic object-oriented principles was applied. Comparing with previous result, it is just a simple playwright request and get. And here we have some kind of hierarchy here, at least basic one. Maybe it's not fancy or some improvement can be easily added, but it's not a goal of this video. And goal of this video is that you are able to work with Cursor IDE more efficient and in smart way with documentation and project rules. So thank you for your attention and have a great day. Bye.